Hello and welcome back to another installment of Poke Fodder. And today we have a new banner. That's right, a new banner dropped this morning, version 4.0.5, if I'm not mistaken, and I'd like to think that I'm right on that. There's not going to be any gameplay today. As you can see from the deck that I have here, I do have the Lunala. I have two of them. And I'm going to be totally honest. I did not pull a whole lot of boosters. I crafted one of my Lunalas, and then I pulled it, and as soon as I got the first Lunala, I stopped. So I only have a couple of the new Pokemon, and I haven't even looked at them yet. Like, I've been waiting to test a theory that I had for a deck, and this is the deck right here. And I'm not going to do my video on my deck just yet. That will come most likely tomorrow. But I like my deck. It still has, still trying to iron out a few of the wrinkles on it. But this is it. I'm not going to go into it any further than this. But let's jump in and see everything that we got. The first thing is we have pumpkin time boosters available. They're only available between now and November 6th at 3 a.m. UTC. I haven't looked on a calendar. My guess is that November 6th is going to be either a new banner or there'll be a gym. There'll be something that goes on at like 8 a.m. on November 6th. I just don't know what it is. It's too far out. Probably a new banner. Because I think that's 2 weeks. Maybe that's more. Maybe that's 3 weeks. I don't know. I can't do the math. I don't even want to try to do the math. But if you will remember, previously they had the moss boosters and then they had the orange boosters, which they were typically 6 hours. And what they would do is they'd give you Mon. They only held Mons that received either the MP buff or the damage buff for the upcoming gym. What that was is to help people who weren't able to pull banners get some of the Mons to help them in the gym cups. And they've done away with those for a while now. They added in the black boxes, which have the Carmonite, but now we're back. That's a really long-winded way of saying now we're back to specific boosters for events. It just happens to coincide with Halloween. Therefore, you have pumpkin themes. Your options. I'm just going to tell you now. These names are, like, they're absolutely ridiculous. And this is like Gourgeist. And it's like Gorging and Poltergeist. Gourgeist, I think. Something like that. I don't know, but I'm gonna absolutely slaughter most of these names. But just like Suicune, at some point in time, I will figure them out. And you can get Pumpkaboo. Anyways, now here's the thing. You can get a large. I'm guessing that this little symbol means medium and small pumpkin time boosters by winning duels and league matches. If I'm not mistaken, the small ones are 1 hour, the medium ones are 3 hour, and the big ones are 6 hour. And it's kind of interesting because I did do a little bit of research on Pokemon lore, and this Pumpkaboo evolves by trading into the Gourgeist. And it comes in, I want to say it actually came in 4 different sizes. I want to say that it came in like extra large, large, medium, and small. But it was kind of cool that they kept with that same principle as far as these boosters. And the way you get them is you play a league match the same way you'd get a normal booster. The items can change. Yeah. New Pokemon available. We have, I would have, if it weren't for Rico, I would have said Lunala. Because Luna is the moon, or lunar. It's like the Latin root for lunar. which in American is synonymous with moon. But he said it was Lunala. That's not right. Lunala. So I believe what he says. That's the one that I wanted for my deck. They have this Chandelure and this Duel. I hope I got that right, but whatever. Another rare, Mimikyu and Dartrix, Leftwick, Lampent, Rowlet, Oricorio, Sensu style, and then other Pokemon are now available. There's a gym sale, and there are 10 packs. Let's jump in and dive a little bit deeper into some of these newer Pokemon. So for me, the prize of this banner was Lunala. This is the one that I wanted. And I'm gonna kind of brag just a little bit, because when people were saying, well, what do you think the wheel is gonna be? I had a few different ideas. But the one that I thought that was most likely to happen, I thought it would be either a 90 or a 70 wheel. And in fact, I thought it would be a 70 wheel with an outside chance of being a 90 wheel. And it's actually a 60 wheel. And I also thought it would have 2 purple segments with an outside shot of having a really small but weak gold. And the reason why I thought it would have gold that was weak is just because if you look at the rest of that line between the Cosmog all the way up and the Solgaleo, none of them have gold. So I thought they'd put in just a hint of gold to make the deck complete, but they did not. No big deal. So I missed on that. It's also kind of cool what they did to incorporate Lunala's abilities in the games, where opponents did 50% damage, and in the game, the battle opponent of this Pokemon cannot move by effects other than the attacks of this Pokemon until the end of the battle. If this Pokemon is not affected by a special condition, have the attack damage dealt to this Pokemon by the battle's opponent. So see, they kept it. They kept it in there. And I was wondering, A, if they were going to, and B, how are they going to work that? Was it going to be like Tapu Lele, where it was everything within, you know, like 2 spaces, or I didn't know. But I was wondering how they'd incorporate that, and that's how they did this. And because it's a ghost, this Pokemon can MP move through other Pokemon on the field. If we look at its wheel, it's only 60, but it's kind of misleading. It actually hits like 120. Now, through some testing, I will tell you that if Zapdos attacks into Lunala, it still doesn't flow smoothly off my tongue, if you can't tell. What's going to happen is, say Zapdos hits its 100 attack. It's going to land its 100 attack, the screen will show 100, and then it's going to cut that in half. So you're looking at a 50 attack. And if they were the ones doing the attacking and they have Tapu Koko on the field, then it'll add the 30 back onto it. And I imagine that is how it's going to work with the pom-pom style Oricorios. But the base damage gets halved, and then any kind of boosts come in on top of that. So keep that in mind. And when I say it hits like 120, it's because just a naked 100 attack is going to drop down to 50, and 50 is going to beat it. Or the 60 here is going to beat the 50. So in essence, the 60 is going to beat the 100, if that makes sense, because it's technically going to be like 120 versus 100. I hope you guys are able to follow that. It's not difficult for me to visualize and conceive what I'm talking about, but sometimes things get lost in translation. So, moving on. A 20 wheel slice of Moongeist Beam. Move the battle opponent or one opposing Pokemon that is adjacent to the battle opponent to its PC. Think Lucario. and his purple wheel Aurora Sphere, which is a 1-star purple move, does the same type of thing, where if one's behind the other, not just adjoining but behind, then you can choose which one you want to knock out. Very similar. You have 60 Psychic, which is half of the wheel. A 20 Will-O-Wisp. You guys know this one. This is what Giratina has, Shuppet has, and Fletchinger has. And that's going to leave a burn. So there you go. Pretty excited about this one. 2 MPs, which is fine, and it's going to be able to pass through other Pokemon. Then we have Chandelure. And here, I'm just, like I've said before, I haven't even looked at the wheels of any of these after Lunala. So I'm learning as we go as well. And I will say, after being on Discord and hearing people talk about these abilities, this game is getting a lot more complex now. If you think about Zapdos, how about Moltres? We'll go with Moltres. Moltres would come on the field, it would have the ability Soar, which, as long as your opponent didn't also have Soar, you could just hop on over them. And then it also had Flame Charge, where if it rolled Flame Charge and that was the winning roll, then you could activate the ability and burn your opponent. They're starting to get more complex. Chandelure is a Ghost Fire. If this Pokemon is knocked out, knock out opposing Pokemon that have a branded marker. This Pokemon can MP move through other Pokemon on the field. Wait, a branded marker? What is that? Well, let's go look at his wheel. He's got a 4 miss, and these are all level 1. So after level 5, it's going to be 8 miss, and you can't change that with Carmonite. But you can make the 110 really large. I think you can make it half the wheel. It has a 20 wheel slice of Darkrai. Knock out a Pokemon that has branded marker attached to it. Okay, so this Pokemon is knocked out. Knock out opposing Pokemon that have branded markers. So let's see what branded is, because that seems to be a pretty important piece of this Pokemon. Branded, 20 slice and a 2-star purple. If the battle opponent is burned, attach a branded marker to the battle opponent. This affects the effects of abilities of branded Pokemon that increase or decrease attack damages are nullified. And there's a lot to digest right here. So first of all, you've got to land the 20 and it has the branded, and it has to be a winning roll. That's step 1. And the opponent has to be burned. There's a lot of conditions to this. And if I'm reading this wrong, then somebody please correct me. But I feel like I'm reading this right. If the battle opponent is burned, attach a branded marker to the battle opponent. Well, if you've ever tried to run Flame Energy, you know that actually burning other opponents' Pokemon is not the easiest thing in the world. Even if you have Fletchinger, who burns when it gets knocked out, it has a large miss. So you're going to have to find a way to burn the opponent before Chandelure even comes out to battle them. Then after you've burned them, we'll just say that you run your Fletchinger out. He rolls the 20 or the 30, gets beat, burns the opponent, and now you bring this one off the field. Now you actually have to roll the purple, but it also has to be the winning roll. So if your opponent has a stronger purple, that's no good. If it lands gold, that's no good. If it lands blue, yeah, none of those are good. But once you've gone through all the trouble of branding your opponent, if this Pokemon gets knocked out, they get knocked out. If you roll blue, you can pick anyone on the field and knock them out. It seems super duper situational, but it's also very in depth as far as this isn't just you can soar over a Pokemon. This isn't just if you roll the purple, then you can discharge your Flame Charge on your opponent. No, this is like there are multiple steps that have to go in. I think for that reason alone, most people probably will not run this Pokemon initially. It just seems super duper situational. And then you have a 44 wheel slice, so it's actually 53. That's a really, at level 10, that is really large. And it's a 110, the battle opponent becomes burned if you get knocked out. A lot going on with this Pokemon, and I'm not sure. I think it's a super cool looking Pokemon, but I'm not sure that there's somebody that's a lot smarter than me that'll figure out a way to make this work, and I'm eager to see it work. And in fact, head over to my Discord, and as always, links are in the description below. But if you have a deck where you utilize this Pokemon, I, for one, would love to play against it. I'd love to see it in action. Come over to my Discord, tag me, let me know in the video ideas, and let's see if we can't get together. I kind of want to see what other people do with that Pokemon. Moving on. I feel like I said this one properly the first time around, and I'm absolutely going to butcher it the next time around. Decidui. And I'm looking at this. I can't even tell what this thing is. It looks like some kind of a bird. And since it comes from Rowlett, I'm just going to assume that it's some kind of an owl type bird. But I don't think the sprite is very good. I can't make out, is the green the face and it's shielding its face with its wing? I can't tell, but I don't like this. This one doesn't look cool. I can't tell what it is. Grass Ghost. When this Pokemon moves from the bench to the field or appears as an evolution, that is a new ability that we have not seen yet, that when something appears, something else is triggered. Spin for each opposing Pokemon on an entry point. If a purple attack is spun, knock out that opposing Pokemon. This Pokemon can MP move through other Pokemon. Okay. So if your entry points are covered and you're carrying a long throw plate, you throw this guy out. If you're like me and running a heavy purple deck, there's a good chance you'll get one of your entry points back open. Looking at the wheel, a 4 miss, one of those 2 misses will go away, so we'll only have 4 at level 5. 32 wheel slice gold, phantom arrow for 70, which is rather strong for a gold attack. An opposing Pokemon adjacent to the battle opponent spins. If it spins purple attack, it's knocked out. Sounds just like Water Shuriken to me. I don't know why they didn't just call it Water Shuriken. I have no idea why unless I'm missing something that sounds exactly like Water Shuriken, why not just call it the same move? Except for, my guess is that in the main series games, this Pokemon did not learn Water Shuriken as a move, and they want to keep it relevant and keep it authentic. A 32 wheel slice of Spirit Shackle. The battle opponent gains weight 5, and this is a 100 wheel slice. And a 100 is not. It's going to need some chain levels. And here's my. Well, let me finish this Pokemon, and then the other 4 miss, and then a Grass Knot of 30. If the battle opponent's attack is 120 damage or higher, the opponent is knocked out instead of that opponent. Your opponent is knocked out instead of you. Now, where was I going with all this? If you look at this wheel, it's a 100, it's a 70, it's a 30. Mew is 30. The twins, when they are not, Reshiram and Zekrom, I went blank on a Seismitoad, Mewtwo. When the twins are not overdrived, and the others that I mentioned there, they all have 70 attacks. Gengar has 100. Reshiram, his main attack is a 100. Zapdos, main attack is a 100. The Swords of Justice, Tracheon, Cobalion, and Virizion all do 101. So this guy's going to need chain levels. The problem is where do you put the chain levels? Because every one of those numbers is a really common number in the game. I will say that on my free-to-play alt account, I had to do my dailies today, and I came across a deck where my opponent was running 2 of these, and that weight 5 is soul crushing. I had a Pokemon on his end of the board, and you don't realize how long wait 5 is until you only have 3 Pokemon on the field, and 2 of them are guarding your goal, and the other one is stuck all the way on the other side of the field. Other side of the board. I call it a field. But... So, to me, this Pokemon, it has a really nice ability. The abilities, I mean, at this point, the respinning in this heavy purple meta that we're in, the respinning of an adjacent opponent is really nice. I think you will probably get some knockouts out of that. The wait 5 is really nice. The respinning the purples whenever you come on the field or evolve and knock off people on the entry points. All really, really nice. At the end of the day, I think there's just way too much going on this Pokemon. I don't know what I'm getting out of it. And 32 and 32, I don't even know where to begin to level this guy up. Do you level up the gold? It's Raikou all over again. Do you level up the gold? I don't know. Do you level up the main wide attack? I don't know. How many chain levels? If you were to chain level 10 this, do you go like 104, 73, 33? Man, I think it's a nice Pokemon. I think I think it tries to do too much. Could be wrong on that. They hinted out at this Mimikyu, and I think it's like Mimikyu, but it is not Pikachu. I actually went and read on this one as well. I'm trying to be a good YouTube host. I actually went and tried to look up some of these Pokemon to find out who they are, what they are, but this one is, you can't look under its cape. If you do, you get cursed, and lo and behold, this Pokemon has curse. So this is a ghost fairy. Because it's fairy, it's going to block those Tapu Koko rushes. Keep that in mind. When this Pokemon moves from the bench to the field, attach a disguise marker to this Pokemon. While that marker is attached to it, this Pokemon is not knocked out in battle. Instead of knocking it out, remove the marker and any special conditions affecting it. This Pokemon can MP move. It sounds like it's a free, what was it, X defend? Where you can obliterate this one time and it's going to do you no good. Is what it sounds like. 8 miss, 4 miss. So it'll have 8 at level 5 and above. Curse, everybody knows what curse is. Attach curse marker to a battle opponent. A Pokemon that is knocked out in this condition is excluded from the duel. A 30 attack of Shadow Claw and a 40 attack of Play Rough 70. On the next turn, your opponent cannot use plates. There are other Pokemon who have Play Rough. I'm thinking Chansey or Blissey have it. If I remember correctly from Pokemon Go. There you go. Kind of a cool looking Pokemon. 70 is not going to do you a lot of good, but this is a better Banette, because Banette is 30-50 with Curse, although the Curse is a lot larger on Banette. Still. Dartrix, the pre-evolution. Looking at the wheel, has Leaf Blade plus 50. Spin again. If Leaf Blade is spun, it deals plus 50 damage, so this can actually do 100 damage. 2 MP, and it has, what does that say? Swinging throw. Spin for an opposing Pokemon within 2 steps. If the result is anything other than blue, knock it out. That seems pretty easy to get an Evo off of, I'm not going to lie. And it's a 28 wheel segment. And I'm running Pokemon that aren't blue heavy. Litwick. This Pokemon is lit. Ghost Fire. When this Pokemon moves from the bench, it can only move to a point 1 step away from an entry point. Your turn ends. Your Pokemon on the field can pass through this Pokemon when using an MP move. If this Pokemon burns the battle opponent, it may evolve. So there, that's nice. And that's a ginormous Will-O-Wisp. That's huge. 56, so that'd be 65 out of 96 at level 10. You're still gonna, and you're only gonna have 8 miss when it's all said and done. If you take this up to level 10 and as an uncommon, it is gonna cost you 100 Carmonite. But it is only a 1 MP, very similar to Empoleon, where Empoleon can't go on the entry point, but this one, your entry point has to be free in order for you to move, but you get basically 2 MP off the bench. That's kind of how we'll look at that. Moving on, we have Lampent. Can MP move through other Pokemon on the field? Attach a branded marker to burned Pokemon that have been moved. Wait. To burned Pokemon that have been moved through by this Pokemon. So I think like Gengar, how Gengar goes over poisoned and it knocks him out. If your opponent's burned and you MP move over them, you are going to attach one of those branded markers. If we look at the wheel, branded, same as above that we saw on Chandelure. 28 Will-O-Wisp, also a burn. And then you have Flamethrower, 50. So unless you roll miss, you are burning your opponent with this Pokemon. And did it say? No, this one cannot evolve off being branded, off burning. So what's going to end up happening is it's going to be kind of difficult, I think, to evolve this one. My personal opinion. 2 more. Rowlet. Is it Rowlet? In Texas, there's a town called Rowlet, and that's why I call it Rowlet, but it might be Rowlet. Rapid Approach. All of the blue attacks of this Pokemon's battle opponents become misses. Hello, Terrakion. And 3 MP. 8 miss. 60 Leafage, which is only 40. But if you think about the Pokemon, if you think about Terrakion, it has a ton of blue. Cobalion has a ton of blue. My poor Cosmo EM has a ton of blue. And 40 is more than sufficient if you're landing on a miss. And then Sucker Punch is a 10 gold attack. And that is a 3 MP Pokemon. And finally, we have the third Oricorio. And this is Sensu style. Ghost Flying. This Pokemon can MP move through other Pokemon on the field. When this Pokemon is on the field, your Ghost type Pokemon deal +1 damage for each Ghost type Pokemon. If we look at its wheel, 36, wheel slice of 20, very underwhelming. Refined Dance, 50. The battle opponent gains weight 3. If this Pokemon is knocked out, the battle opponent gains a curse marker. Okay. It's pretty small though. Only 25% chance to roll it, 25% chance to roll Roost, and the same 12 miss. That is a lot. It's a cool graphic though. I mean, did you see that? Like, look at Chandelure. That is a really cool looking Pokemon. And Lunala is super cool as well. Well, I think you guys have heard me ramble on for long enough. Now, here's what I think. I think that this banner is not the single greatest banner. Go spend all of your gems and pull everything you can. Nope, I don't think so. And I'm not sad about that at all. And here's why. Let me step up on my soapbox for just one moment, if you would allow me the latitude. If you look at where we were, and I've kind of said this before, but if you look at where we were, where it was Cosmodex and Tropical Dex, and then every now and then a random was thrown in. And it was like that for a long time. It was so bad that in gyms, people would just continue to run Cosmo decks because they were better than everything else, even with the MP buffs and the damage boosts. Cosmo decks are not dead. I don't think Cosmo decks are ever going to be dead. They are a really good deck. But there is so much that you can do to build a deck that at this point, you can almost run anything. Maybe not water. Water still seems really slow to get out on the field. But you can run a flying deck. You can run a ghost deck. You can run a psychic deck that is not a Cosmo deck. I'm running a psychic deck, and it's not a Cosmo deck. You can run a fire deck. You can run grass. Probably can't run ground. Ground seems like it's probably being left in the dust. Pun intended there. You can run steel decks. They're really strong. You can run electric decks. You can run hybrids. There are so many different synergies out there now that I'm going to go ahead and say it. Pokemon Duel is in its golden era. Never before, and I've been playing almost since day one. Not quite since day one, but almost. I would say I was within the first couple of weeks. How about that? I have never seen so much diversity available to people. Now here's the caveat to that. Because Tropical and Cosmo Energy decks were the king of the hill for as long as they were, people have a ton of resources invested in those Pokemon. And a lot of these new Pokemon, they're really good just straight out of the box, but you're going to need to put some investment into them. I've been taking all of my coins. I mean, I'm broke. I have no coins, if you look. I have no coins. And in fact, lo and behold, I'm basically out of rare metal. I never thought that day would come. But what I did is I took every coin that I got, all the rare metals that I had saved up, and I invested them in 2 Cosmogs to get them to level 5. I think that's like 150, 160,000 coins each and 40,000 metal, somewhere in there, 45,000 metal, something like that. I did 2 Cosmo EM, same thing. You know, so we're looking at, what is that? 600,000, maybe 700, 640,000 in gold. I have a Solgaleo that I took to level 7. My 2 Cosmogs are level 6. So I've invested 100, 200, 300 Carmenite into this deck. So my advice to you, and I will use Booms. Booms I've gotten to know from my Discord, and he's a really good guy. He's his drive towards the game, I love it. I love the constant, well, what about this? Well, what about that? He took all of his Carmenite and has invested them into Pikachus. The Pikachu rare, the Pikachu uncommon, the Raichus. And he's owning an electric deck. And it's not happening overnight. He's, you know, his Zapdos is like level 5. You know, it's not, there's no Carmenite in it. But he decided, and he went all in and said, I'm going with an electric deck. And he owns it, and he's really good with it. I've played him a couple times. I think I played him on my channel. If not, I definitely played him in my live streams. He owns the deck. He's good with the deck. So what I would say, forget your rank. This is a fabricated number. Up here, it's a fabricated number. It does not define your worth. It is a fictitious ranking system based on nothing. Take a deck. if you like one of these new Pokemon that came out, use that as your backbone and build a deck around it. And when you find something you like, go all in on it. It doesn't matter what other people are doing. Own your deck. This is, I call it a Nebby deck. That's what I'm gonna dub this. Let me see if it's loaded up here. I'm gonna call it a Nebby deck. I saw a feature where Cosmog was bouncing all over the place and moving Leo from one side of the board. I'm like, what in the world is going on here? And I said, that is going to be absolutely broken. And I said, I'm gonna do it. I'm going all in. This is, misguided or not, this is where I'm going to put all of my resources for the foreseeable future. I had a vision, and this was it. And if you look at it, my Tapu Lele is level 1. I'm still trying to decide, am I gonna use him or Oricorio, the psychic one? I can't remember what it is off the top of my head, but, oh, Pau style. But we're in a golden era here, and it makes me sad to see so many people leaving Pokemon Duel and saying, well, it's boring. Well, okay, I don't buy it. I said it. I don't buy it. It's not boring. You're tired of using the same deck that you've been using since you had to run Tropical to be Cosmo. It's actually super exciting. There are, as I mentioned earlier, there are depths and levels to the abilities of these newer Pokemon that are coming out. And if you're free to play, or, you know, if you're, I'm just going to say free to play and put that in the range of $0 spent on the game to 100. And we'll say that is my range of free to play. I'll give you a little latitude on that. If you're free to play, you've probably been investing your resources in a deck, and that's kind of all you have. And I agree, it's a lot harder for you. I am going through those struggles on my free-to-play account where I've only allowed myself to get 60 in my Pokédex, and I'm constantly fusing away fun Pokemon because I want something that can be competitive. And at this point, I'm kind of pigeonholed into a specific deck. So if you are free to play, then I do share and I can empathize with your struggles of the game. What you do have as a free-to-play person who has invested in a deck and consistently run that deck is you know your deck inside and out, and your deck is really strong at this point because you have invested so many resources into it. And for those people, I would say pick one. Pick a new Pokemon. Find something that synergizes with what you've already got going on. If you notice that you are lacking a beater, go grab a Solgaleo. It's an all-white attack. If you are lacking in mobility, Lunala can move over other Pokemon. Any of the ghost Pokemon can move over. Gengar can move over. There are options out there. And it's gotten to the point where I see so many people saying this game sucks, it's boring, that I'm finally going to speak out about it and say it's not boring. You're bored of running your same deck that you've been using because you feel like this number up here in the corner is your skill or your worth in the game, and it's just not true. Let go of that. Try new things, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. I'm having a great time with this deck. I'm winning a lot, and I'm not always going to win, but even when I lose, I learn something like, oh, well, maybe I don't want to attack in there, or if this kind of situation ever comes up again, my deck would be better suited to counter it this way. So there you go. I'm going to step off my soapbox now. This is rivaling my longest video ever, but I think it's a great banner for the cumulative effect of where we were and where we're going. And aside from the AI tickets, and aside from these like 24-hour boosters, 12-hour boost, like come on. November 6th is going to be here before I'm finished popping all these boosters and even able to get a pumpkin booster. But those are small details. I'm willing to overlook that. So enjoy the game with me. Have fun with it. And until next time.